Hey guys, I'm here. Hello everybody, welcome along to day 2 of the season in the FIM Sidecar World Championship. We are just a few moments away from going racing on this wonderful day here at the Sachsenring. As you can see, there's a bit of cloud cover overhead that does look a tad ominous, but hopefully we won't have any excess dramas on top of the dramas we already had yesterday for certain teams in the previous race. You see there the winning outfit from yesterday. The team of the Birchalls, Ben and Tom, with a fabulous start to their season, the full haul of 25 points going to the Birchalls in what was an 11-lap Superside sprint race in the first race of the season in this new era of the FIM Sidecar World Championship. Ben and Tom Birchall, the Mansfield-based brothers, having a wonderful start to their season. Alongside them on the grid will once again be Harry Payne and Kevin Rousseau. Harry Payne and Kevin Rousseau, you see there the Steinhausen Racing number 45 machine. And they will be looking to continue their momentum. Of course, they got a brilliant start, actually, in yesterday's 11-lap race. This will be a 20-lap race, the full distance second race of the weekend. You saw when Harry presented his helmet there that he has the Manx symbol on the top of his helmet. Even though he was born in England, he's very much a adopted son of the Manx Island, the Isle of Man. Number 34 lining up third on the grid. This is one of the teams that will be hoping for some better fortunes. The Christies did manage to take the flag, albeit some way off the pace and some way off their fellow riders after a couple of laps spent in the pit lane. So they'll be looking to regroup in the Hannafin Racing camp. Sam and Tom Christie looking competitive this season, but they need a better rub of the rabbit's foot. The number 29, another machine that came into grief, only lasted 3 or 4 corners in yesterday's race. Stephen Kershaw, Ryan Charlwood, the all-British duo. Kershaw, a former British champion. It's their first weekend of running at the Sachsenring. They're not the only ones in that boat, but certainly they will have been ruining the fact that not only did they retire and not score any points, but they also lost the opportunity to get some more mileage around the circuit. Here are the defending champions on row 3. It is the number 6. It is Ellis and Clement. Todd Ellis, Emmanuel Clement. Of course, defending both the world and British titles this year. You see there, they've managed to work the number 1 into their number 6 on the front of their sidecar. The 74 is next. And that is the combination of Ted and Vincent Peugeot. Ted, the son of Vincent, at the helm of this machine. So Vincent riding shotgun. And that's another team that had some mechanical woes in yesterday's race. They were in the pits at the end of the first lap, so they'll be looking for a slightly better run. Now, this is a team that had a great start yesterday. Tim Reeves and Mark Wilkes, the 8-time world champion, got a good launch, was in the top 4 by the time they got to turn 1 from 7th on the grid. He'll be looking to replicate that feat, but that is easier said than done. We'll see whether or not he can accomplish the feat on this occasion. Here is the Bonovo Action entry. This is the number 21. And that is Benny Stroyer and Kevin Kulsh. Stroyer, a former world champion, son of a former world champion as well. Didn't put that much of an emphasis on themselves in the first race. Let's see what they do in race number 2. The Sattler Schmidt, number 35, will line up in 9th. Josef Sattler, Lukas Schmidt on the 35. The youngest, one of the youngest on the grid is Lukas Schmidt at just 20, already a double German sidecar passenger champion himself. And we'll be looking to build upon a good first race with Lukas Schmidt in the World Championship here. Of course, Schmidt and Sattler have won the German Championship before. So then, the Birchells on pole position, Payne and Rousseau on the first row with them, the Christies and the Kershaw-Charlbrook combination on row 2. Then it is Ellis and Clement on row 3 alongside the Peugeots. Reeves and Wilkes on row 2 along with that 21 team of Stroyer and Kulsh. Row 5 and 6, it is Sattler and Schmidt along with Pavarinta and De Haas. Gertlich and Craig next alongside that number 10 combination. Remsey and Vexelberger on the 55 alongside Archer and Christie on the 70. Zimmerman and Mal on the 33 alongside Cable and Richardson on the 111. A few more rows of the grid. Kim Schweiger on the 11 is next alongside Vinet and Darris. And then the number 19 crew rounding out and finally actually taking the start in this one.
Fahrspaß pur und ab sofort 4 Jahre Garantie auf alle neuen Kawasaki Straßenmotorräder in Deutschland. Auf zum Kawasaki Vertragspartner. Dort findet ihr das richtige Motorrad. Garantiert.
So then, approaching the grid for the start of this race, the FIM Sidecar World Championship is about to let loose for the second time in this season, the second and final time here at the wonderful Sachsenring circuit. So let's see who can endure over the course of this 20 laps. We saw the fair share of incident mechanical issue in the 11-lap sprint. So I'm sure quite a few teams will be hoping for better fortunes this time as all eyes go to the gantry. The race will begin in earnest right now, and it's again a good launch from the outside of the front row, or to the inside of turn 1. Harry Payne once again with a brilliant launch. He and Kevin Rousseau trying to get to the inside, but the Birchells brave on the brakes, maybe too brave on the brakes because they've drifted wide, and that's the opportunity that Harry Payne needs to move into the lead in the early stages. Who's that in third place? It's the Christies in P3. It's a better start for Kershaw and Charlwood. They continue on past where they retired yesterday. They're in 4th place. Then it's the Ellis-Clement combination, our defending champions, up there in, I was going to say 5th place. Yes, it is 5th place, although they're under pressure. Good starts all round then, but we've got, once again, Payne and Rousseau in the lead. Now, it was up here, just approaching the peak of the hill before the waterfall, that we saw a move to the lead last time, and the Birchells tried it one corner early, but that's actually gone against them. Payne and Rousseau get through into the lead again. Now, let's see if the Birchells have left themselves liable to an attack from behind. Interesting stuff here then. on this first lap. The Birchells wanted to get it done as quickly as possible, just as they did yesterday. They maybe pulled the trigger a bit too early, went wide, and that has cost them on this occasion. The Birchells then running second place behind Payne and Russo. Harry Payne will be delighted with this start. A dive up the inside, further back in the pack. I think that might have been the Reeves, number 77, up the inside of Ellis and Clement. Yes, it was. So Reeves up into 5th place and defending up against the champs. Reeves and Wilkes with a good run then. And the Birchells get back through again. And now they're side by side, and somehow they managed to get the machine stopped. I didn't even fully twig that they'd got through until I noticed it was them drifting wide at the apex of the first corner. But Payne and Russo aren't giving up without a fight. This is amazing racing from the Steinhaus and Racing combination. The 45 machine. Of course, lest we forget, the Birchells, the only Honda-powered machine on the grid this weekend. And it is that number 16 in the lead now. And here comes Kershaw and Charlwood. They get themselves up into second place. Great stuff from the former British champion, Kershaw. Stephen Kershaw and Ryan Charlwood up into second place then. The rest of the field stream through the waterfall. Harry Payne demoted from 1st to 3rd over this lap. That is not happy news at all, but they'll keep pressing. There are the Christies in 4th place under pressure from Tim Reeves. Reeves may well have a look here coming out of the last corner and onto turn 1. Tim Reeves and Mark Wilkes, both experienced. And here comes Reeves. He's also got to be wary of Todd Ellis behind. Sam and Tom Christie will be more than wary of that number 77 behind them, but they also want to try and find a way past Harry Payne and Kevin Rousseau. Taylor's oldest time in racing. You attack one and you get overtaken by the other. There you see the Sachsenring looking over the circuit from this wonderful drone cam. At 3 of 20, and the brothers Birchall have a lead. Not an unassailable lead, though, if Kershaw and Charlwood can find the pace. Already into the 1:28 for the Birchells. Of course, it was a 28.4 that secured them pole position. It was a 28.4 that was one of their better laps in the previous race. The Birchells don't do anything by half measures. They are pushing on. Here comes Todd Ellis and Emmanuel Clement, trying to fire back past Tim Reeves and Wilkes. Let's see if a move can be made on this occasion. Certainly close as they run out of the final corner. We'll see whether Reeves is potentially under threat. He looks like he is, because that was a very good run indeed from Todd Ellis and Emmanuel Clement. They head towards the first corner now, up to the crest of the hill. And let's see if a move is made. They've got the inside line. Yes, good riding from the number 6, Ellis and Clement. Still side by side, in fact, so it's not a given, but almost contact. There may have been a little bit of contact there between them. And Todd Ellis has managed to get through into 5th position, up against that number 77. Tim Reeves and Mark Wilkes will press on and try and find a way back through. But good riding from Ellis and Clement. Here's the battle for second place as Kershaw continues to hold something of a watching brief over the Birchells. The gap across the line was registered at 1.278 seconds. Although I feel it's gone out over the course of this race so far. It is lap 4 of 20. And it is Reeves along with the Peugeots. Again, overhead as they turn into the final corner, the massive grandstand overlooking this section of the circuit. And almost towers over everything around it. As the Peugeots try and find a way past Reeves. Ellis and Clement there have dropped down to P7. I missed that, I'm afraid. So Ellis and Clement dropped down 2 places there, and oh my goodness, quite a lot of lift there for Kershaw and Charlwood. I know that's not the most unfamiliar sight, but that was quite significant. Clearly Kershaw and Charlwood pushing on here. Payne and Rousseau keeping that watching brief. They obviously lost first and second places after a good start, retaining that podium position for now. They'll be looking for any way they can to get through. After all of these left-hand bends, it must be something of a relief to see a right-hander as they approach the waterfall. Right-hand bends are pretty hard to come by around this circuit. Sachsenring layout that has been in use now for 20 years. In this configuration, of course, the modernised, no longer open road Sachsenring has been around for just over 25 years in total. So then the Christies, they're certainly having a better run than they did yesterday. They run P4 at the moment, and again we've had a change in the latter half of the top 10 because Ellis and Clement have got them back past Reeves and Wilkes. But the Peugeots have got them past both of them. And then lurking in 8th place, Stroyer and Kolsch, they're having a good run. So Benny potentially looking for a way past Tim Reeves. 2 riders that have had, or 2 drivers that have had a few battles over the years. So the Birchells are certainly not pulling away, but that could be by design. 1.2 seconds is the gap they're managing, and 1.2 seconds is all they need. They could have 1.2 tenths if they really wanted to, although that would be too much. Could just be managing the machine, of course, and the tyres critically here at this left-hand predominant Sachsenring circuit. Circuits like this, circuits like Thruxton in the UK, circuits that very much take it out of the tyres. It looked to me as if the body language on the Reeves 77 was a little bit concerning going into that last corner. I felt like Wilkes was just kind of looking up there and it looked a little bit resigned to me. I'm hoping they haven't got more problems, of course, because Tim Reeves and Wilkes ended up parked up. Tim and Mark were watching the final lap of the race from the sidelines after an issue. So let's run you through the top 10 as it stands then, with 7 laps, or 6 laps and change in the books. We are on lap 7. It is the Birchells in the lead by still around 1.2 seconds over Kershaw and Charlwood in the 29. In second. In third place, it is Harry Payne and Kevin Rousseau. In fourth position, the Christies, Sam and Tom Christie, running there in P4, right behind Harry Payne at the moment. Ted and Vincent Peugeot have moved themselves up into fifth position. They're also leading the German sidecar point scorers in fifth. Ellis and Clement are there in sixth position. Reeves and Wilkes in seventh. Benny Stroyer and Kolsch in 8th place, Sattler and Schmidt in P9, Pavarinta and De Haas round out our top 10 as Sam and Tom Christie have a look to the inside at the first corner. Not quite close enough for a move on that occasion, but certainly making their intentions known. Maybe if they get themselves a Sky Rider, they could be a little more blatant, but very much telling them, look, this is what we're intending, let's do it. Run past the back of the paddock then and downhill. When you stray wide around that long sweeper towards the end of a weekend, you really know about it. In cars especially, but also with the bikes, the amount of tyre deg, the amount of tyre residue you'll find on the outside is really quite spectacular. Looked to me as if the Ellis Clement number 6 was closing in. Yes, Ted and Vincent Peugeot under pressure from the reigning champions, who will not be best pleased with being down in 6th place. Certainly a compelling race we've got here at the sharp end of the order this time. Sam and Tom Christie haven't been more than a couple of tenths back from Payne and Rousseau for several laps at this point, and once again they dive to the inside. But once again, it can't quite get done from there. Christie is one of the younger combinations on the grid. Bulletin has come up on the timing screen that number 19 has suffered a mechanical issue and has retired from the race, and that is a huge shame for Markus Schwegler and Andrzej Kopeski, who have not had much of a weekend at all. They didn't take the start, if memory serves me correctly, yesterday. Kopeski, a former Slovakian champ, as a passenger. But neither party getting what they wanted out of their Sachsenring excursion. Hopefully they can bounce back for Spa. And there you see Ellis and Clement a bit sideways. Now, they were sideways and they were ahead of the Peugeots. So yes, they have gotten through there, haven't they? Move has been made off camera between these two parties. You see them there ducking below the bodywork to minimise the drag, all while trying to prepare themselves to lunge to the right side of the machine for the overtake potential, or at least for the move into turn 1. At that perilous angle, going through the corner properly. Looked as though the Christies were once again looking to the inside of Payne and Rousseau up ahead. Harry Payne not feeling the need to go defensive, and I think that's coy riding from Harry Payne, who has only been doing this a few years as a driver. Payne seems to be experienced beyond his years, but then again, he's been living and breathing sidecar competition for quite some time, even though he's relatively new to the handlebars. Harry has a win to his name already, along with Rousseau in the French series at Nogaro. Harry Payne looking to try and secure a podium here, and currently well in position to do so. Tim Reeves, down in 7th place, has really fallen off that battle for P5 that we were watching. As this time it looks as though the Christies may be close enough to actually make the move. Yes, they're adjacent to one another. Oh, not quite able to do it, although the inside line still beckons for the second apex at turn 1. Have Sam and Tom done enough? Oh, big hip check there between the two. Sam and Tom Christie just about get through then. And, you heard there the engine certainly being used to rotate the bike there. Don't want to do too much of that around this circuit. Your rear tyre will know about it by the end, but Sam and Tom Christie press on. And let's get a replay of that one. Sam and Tom to the inside. Harry Payne carries momentum as best as he can with Kevin Rousseau. Thought he had the corner, to be honest, but Sam and Tom got a good run out of turn 1 and contact at T2. He met in the middle with a nose ahead for Sam and Tom Christie, and Harry Payne and Kevin Rousseau had to yield their podium position for now at least. Sam and Tom Christie, though, certainly not out of harm's way as they run towards the final turn once again. On lap 11 of 20, it looked like there may be a move beckoning as well in the battle for 5th place. The Peugeots once again on the back of Ellis and Clement, so keep an eye on the back of Schott as well. And Ellis and Clement are still there for now. Harry Payne did not get the run up the main straight that I was expecting. Ted and Vincent Peugeot have to stay back for now. The Reeves-Stroyer battle in 7th and 8th place is just a couple of seconds back from this. It seems as though, by and large, the bugs, the ants that were in the collective pants of everybody in the first day of racing have subsided a little bit. Mechanical gremlins have been put to rest for most of our competitors. On lap 12 of 20, of course it was just an 11-lap superside sprint in the first race of the day on Saturday. Some lap traffic beckoning for Kershaw in the 29, who runs second and has lost touch over the last few laps with our race leader, Ben and Tom Birchall. 5.1 seconds up the road now. It was 1.2 for quite a long time, but the Birchalls are now extending that advantage out. Now out to 6 seconds. Kershaw and Charlwood in second place. The Birchalls 1:28.109, their fastest lap of the race. Goodness me. Oh, and I thought for a minute there was a little bit of contact between Payne Rousseau and the back marker there, but thankfully not. It's a very unenviable place to be, especially as a passenger when the lapping is going down. Because while you might be aware that there are people on your tail, you have to hope your your pilot is also aware. So it's the 16 of the Birchalls from Kershaw and Charlwood in second place, the Christies in P3, Payne and Rousseau in 4th. And there's a 4-second gap back to the battle for 5th and 6th place, but I think Kershaw and Charlwood got slightly held up there by the 11, and this could be the opportunity that the Christies need. I don't think they quite got the run through the waterfall that was anticipated. Okay, really, really interesting scrap this has developed into then for second place after holding on to the Birchalls throughout the first part of the race. It now feels that Kershaw and Charlwood are under pressure. Sam and Tom Christie leading the charge. Harry Payne and Kevin Rousseau have very much anchored themselves to the back of that Hannafin racing machine as well. The Steinhausen entry was looking to the inside at turn 1. I don't think they would have gotten through from that range. Oh, there was a mistake. Harry Payne. We just saw it there on screen. Harry Payne and Kevin Rousseau ended up spun around. Big shame that we didn't see exactly what happened there, but one could infer at least parts of the circumstances. Clearly Payne and Rousseau tried to make a move stick and it wasn't forthcoming. Question is, was there contact on the way? Doesn't appear to have been any damage to that 45, but they are all the way down now in 6th place, having been challenging for P2. At least, sorry, P3 it would have been at the time, because they were in 4th position. So one fewer combatants in the battle for second place then, but still Sam and Tom Christie loom large behind Quattro Plant backed number 29. All of this is A mere accoutrement to the performance of Ben and Tom Birchall, of course. 8.7 seconds up the road. Ellis and Clement in 4th place now. So they've managed to gain a position, of course, with Payne and Rousseau dropping. But they've got a lot of pressure from Ted and Vincent Peugeot behind. We are on lap 15 of the race then, with just over 5 laps of racing left to go. 2nd place is anything but secure for Kershaw and Charlwood on that 29. Run through the waterfall once again. Of course, won the final race of the 2022 season at Estoril last year. A feat they'll be hoping to replicate. Into the final corner. Sam and Tom Christie have often gotten good runs, seemingly, out of that last turn in this race. At least they were doing so, of course, up against Payne and Rousseau previously. Turn 1 very much the favoured overtaking opportunity around this circuit. Meanwhile, Payne and Rousseau behind this battle for 4th place. Todd Ellis, Emmanuel Clement would again like a podium, but if they can claim the points for 4th, that will be more than okay for their title aspirations. The reigning champs wanting to defend that title, of course. A great pairing, these two. A very select breed of sidecar combinations have taken the British and world title in the same year, but they accomplished that feat in 2022. Looking to match it again in 2023. Down towards the final sector of the lap then comes our battle for 2nd place. I don't know if Sam and Tom Christie quite have enough to get to the back of Kershaw and Charlwood without a mistake. It seems as though the teams are about equal on performance and pace at the moment. Meanwhile, the 74 still looming extremely large behind that number 6. There are no mirrors to look into, of course, on these machines, but I'm sure that Todd Ellis is cognizant of the situation behind. Behind them, Reeves and Wilkes on the 77. In 7th position, behind, of course, Payne and Rousseau down there in 6th place, demoted after their spin. 21 in 8th position of Stroyer and Kolsch. Their 2nd full season as a unit at with Benny Stroyer and Kevin Kolsch. Stroyer has been racing sidecars now for, would be his 16th year. He started in 2007. Of course, won that 2015 world title with Geert Kurtz. One of quite a few out there on circuit who can claim a lineage, a dynasty as it were, in sidecar competition. Of course, Egbert Stroyer, father of Benny, a 3-time world champion in his own right. The Birchalls, Ben and Tom, once again in firm control of this race with just under 3 laps to go. Less than 6 miles at this stage of the lap between themselves and the victory. They just need to bring it home. There is the combination of Cable and Richardson on the 111 about to go a lap down. Kevin Cable, Charlie Richardson. Kevin Cable, of course, very, very experienced indeed, has been doing this, I believe, since 1989. Meanwhile, a bit less experience on these two machines than Cable. However, fighting for fourth position, I'd say a podium out of reach for all three parties in this three sidecar train heading towards the penultimate bend. Emmanuelle Clément ducks her head to minimise the drag once again, as they all do. Incremental differences worth a lot over the course of the race, of course. And also, it'd just be unpleasant to feel that full flow of air above the bodywork at higher speeds. Kershaw and Charlwood on this penultimate lap of the race. I'd say they're under a little more pressure from Sam and Tom Christie than they have been for the last couple of laps, so perhaps this isn't over yet. They're 8.4 seconds back from the Birchells in the lead. They're just over 8/10 clear of Christie, and Christie last time crossed the line. Sam and Tom Christie will be hoping that an opportunity presents itself. We will just about finish within half an hour here in this race. 28 minutes since the green flag flied. The 3.671 kilometres Sachsenring, of course, it really does open up after the initial sequence of corners. It is quite a high-speed circuit. Good battle going on ahead of the race leader. Of course, the Birchells will be hoping they don't get too involved with that. I believe that is the battle for 13th place, potentially. Certainly involving the number 55 of Remzi and Vekselberger. But Ben and Tom Birchall won't be worried about whom they're closing up on. They'll be worried about getting past. It's the 55 and the 33, in fact. So it's Zimmerman and Mahl trying to find a way past, and they do so. So Zimmerman and Mahl get through in that battle for 14th position as the leaders try and carve their way around the situation. Final lap of the race. And the most overtaking that Birchall and Birchall have had to do so far in this one. Ben and Tom will be hoping they get through cleanly here and can focus on taking the checkered flag and back through. Fair enough to Remzi and Vekselberger. They've dived back up the inside to take that 14th position. And it's side by side to the finish in that battle. But we focus on Ben and Tom Birchall, who for the second day in a row have built a massive advantage and take a well-deserved win in the FIM Sidecar World Championship. A full haul of points from the first weekend of the season then. Oh, and the battle for fourth place isn't over yet because Ellis and Clément got held up, and it's a drag race to the line. I wouldn't want to be in charge of calling that. Unfortunately, I am. According to our timing screen, by just over 100th of a second, it went to Ellis and Clément. Sometimes the timing screens chop and change these things, but as of now, Ellis and Clément are judged to have finished fourth place in that drag race, up against Ted and Vincent Peugeot. Of course, the Kershaw-Charlwood crew held on to second place despite Sam and Tom Christie's best efforts. Good efforts from Kershaw and Charlwood. They'll be happy to have got some points on the board, 20 points for P2. And the Birchells continue the celebrations. Oh, and they brought some fireworks to the party. Okay. Excellent. Some fireworks to the party then, as I believe we're going to get a look at a replay. Ben and Tom bringing the party to the Sachsenring then. And justifiably so, after the weekend they have had. They have taken the high ground in the championship in the early stages then, with 2 wins from 2 here at the Sachsenring. Ben and Tom Birchall, they've won world championships before, of course. They have done so on 4 previous occasions, 10 times winners of the Isle of Man TT sidecar race as well. They can add 2 wins at the Sachsenring on the first race of a new era of the IDM sponsored FIM Sidecar World Championship.
Driven by passion, driven by perfection, driven by racing. Geely, driven by function.
Fahrspaß pur und ab sofort. 4 Jahre Garantie auf alle neuen Kawasaki Straßenmotorräder in Deutschland. Auf zum Kawasaki Vertragspartner. Dort findet ihr das richtige Motorrad. Garantiert.
Once this love has awakened, it will never sleep again.
It's just pure love.
100% dedication.
So overlooking the Saxony countryside, as we take a look at the results of that race, the Birchalls claiming the win, 6.9 seconds to the good, eventually controlled that race. Kershaw and Charlwood bounced back from DNF yesterday to take 2nd position. The Christies in 3rd, Ellis and Clement in 4th place, ahead of Ted and Vincent Peugeot by what is apparently even less than 100th of a second ultimately. Amazing run to the finish for them. Payne and Rousseau in 6th place, Reeves and Wilkes in 7th, Stroyer and Kolsch in 8th, Sattler and Schmidt in 9th place, Pavarinta and De Haas in P10, Holden and Hawes in 11th, Gertlich and Craig rounding out our top dozen in that race on the 42. And continuing on in 13th place, it was Archer and Christie on the number 70. They were 1 minute and 30 back from the lead. Of course, the last on the lead lap. Remzi and Vexelberger managed to get through into 14th place. We saw that on camera right at the end of the race. The battle between Remzi and Vexelberger not being hindered really by the Birchalls, and they managed to claim 14th ahead of that number 33 crew. Zimmerman and Mal, Cable and Richardson took 16th ahead of Vinay and Duras. Kimswenger and Sedlacek finishing 18th. Schwegler and Fries unfortunately not getting to the end of the race, not even getting a full lap of the race in their 2nd effort of the weekend, a weekend to forget for the 19 crew. And so what we'll do in the next few minutes is we will recap the race. We might well get a word or two from our competitors, but looking back to that race, the Birchalls, of course, will have the most to smile about. Ben and Tom have been exemplary this weekend here at the Sachsenring. I'm sure that plenty of constituents of Mansfield will be watching and cheering on the local heroes, and they have done them proud on this occasion. It's a full haul of points for Ben and Tom Birchall coming out of this Sachsenring weekend. Then it was a commanding victory for them. It was the opportunity that Stephen Kershaw and Ryan Charlwood needed to get some points on the board in second place. And a great weekend to begin the new era of the FIM Sidecar World Championship. So then the FIM World Sidecar Championship wraps up its first weekend with success for the Birchalls. A reminder that we have 2 events in June at Spa and then at Most. So make sure you tune in for more action from the FIM Sidecar World Championship. But from the English feed here in the commentary box, we wish you a good evening. Make sure you join us again for rounds 2 and 3.